Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Hello, everybody, to another edition of the Mentor Podcast, designed to help you make more money, help you make it faster, keep more of it, and enjoy life along the way. Now, I have got a great interview lined up today with some really smart guys. In fact, they're so smart, they actually created the Dreams system that many of you are using right now after a year and a half with the development and several years of actually using it. They have come up with something really cool, and make sure you tune out all interferences right now because you're going to want to hear this. They call it Profit Drive. So, guys, I think I probably ought to let you describe it because I am not qualified. So we have on the phone Damon Remy and Nate Pummel. You guys take it from there, and I'll interrupt wherever I see fit.
Yeah, Ron. So Damon here. I just want to say, thank you for the opportunity to come on and chat with your audience. As you mentioned, we have really kind of built that Dreams platform for your students and your tribe. And over the years, we've definitely kind of followed your lead. And I know that driving for dollars and being able to go out and build that list has been a very important part of some of what you teach. So I've actually partnered up with Nate. Nate's on the call as well. And Nate really had a driving for dollars application that we've taken, and it's again, the name of it's Profit Drive, and we're integrating that right now into the Dreams platform. So, Nate, if you can, why don't you share a little bit about what the app does and where did the idea get started, and how long have you been working on it?
Yeah, so really the idea started listening to podcasts. I was working the 9 to 5 and taking a long train ride to work. And as I started getting more and more interested in real estate investing, I started, listening to all the podcasts out there, and all the big name investors that were coming on the podcast were talking about how they were doing this thing called driving for dollars. And the one thing I noticed was everybody was driving for dollars with a notepad and pen. And so I was like, that's crazy. I'm sitting here on my mobile phone, basically doing all kinds of stuff. And so thinking that with all the technology out there, how is there not an app for that? So I started doing some research and found that there, at the time, really wasn't any players in the game for something like this. So I ended up partnering with a local investor here in Denver to help me flip a house. And that generated enough revenue to kind of get the first version of the app out. So we did that about 3 years ago. And so we've been kind of growing since then. But at the end of the day, we decided that we wanted to mimic the driving for dollars process as close as we could. And we did that by just kind of listening to all the experts out there that were still driving for dollars talk about their process.
Well, Nate, before you go any further, you're going to have to tell us what driving for dollars means.
Yeah, so driving for dollars, when you hear people on podcasts talk, there's always a question, if I'm a new investor, how do I get started? And these very experienced investors will always say, let's go driving for dollars. So driving for dollars is really just a way for people to drive the streets. You pick a neighborhood, you drive through, and you basically do a visual inspection driving those streets. You find properties that fit your criteria, and most of the time that criteria is deferred maintenance. If you look at the house and it's in poor shape, you think this might be a potential where the seller may be motivated to sell. So as you're driving those streets, you take note of those addresses, and then you would use that address to find the owner, and then once you find the owner, you would mark it to that owner to get the dialogue going.
So if I'm looking for houses that need repairs, they are obviously vacant and probably high grass, maybe some signs on the door or whatever. They're not hard to spot. And if I'm looking for pretty houses, which most of my people are, then any pretty house with a for sale by owner sign in the front yard would also work as well.
That's correct.
And in fact, if I'm looking for ugly houses, even if they're listed and I know they're ugly, that'll work as well. Even though we got to get a hold of the realtor, we learn a lot about the house. So go ahead.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, a lot of times when people hear the term driving for dollars, they immediately think that the house needs to be in complete disarray. But we have several investors that have different criteria. And, we've got some investors that they have a top 100 and they basically just go find the best spots in the best neighborhoods and say, I want this house. And so there's a lot that are in disarray and dilapidated, but there are some that are pretty houses, like you said.
I think the key that what we really did with Profit Drive was we kind of took that process and said, okay, what are we doing to go out and actually find properties, right? No matter what your acquisition strategy is per se, again, the pretty house or the ugly house, how do we actually create a system around that so that you can manage it and scale, right? So instead of having that notepad or taking that pen and paper and then going back to the office or maybe trying to do the research or looking it up from on your computer or your laptop.
Yeah.
You just pull out your phone, take a quick picture.
Those days are over. I got it.
Yeah.
As old as I am, okay, those days are over. I get it. Hey, feel lucky. We used to have to do it out of a big, thick book back when I was growing up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm old enough to remember the old paper MLS.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think probably be better if you guys tell us what this thing will do, and then we can come up with more ways to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the key is there's really I'd say two types of users, right? First and foremost would be you yourself, right? So as you go out and you're driving, you just hit a little button. It starts tracking your route so that you're not crossing streets again, that you've, retracing routes that you've already done. And then as you see the property, you just pin it. You can, of course, take a photo of the property. You can take multiple photos. Of course, it pops up. You can add notes. We've got a nice little visual inspection with a checklist so you can quickly see, okay, are there notices on the windows? Is the grass overgrown? Is it in, disarray? Is it, overdue maintenance? So you can kind of make those visual inspections, and then you just pin it. And it really is that simple. It immediately will pop up the property owner, the property characteristics, and their mortgage information, right? So we do that unlimited for every property. And then
wait a minute.
If you want,
go ahead. It's going to pop up. It's going to pop up the original mortgage amount. Is that what you're saying?
It will pull up the mortgage, the original note, as well as the estimated mortgage balance.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So we're going to give you that detail on every property. So every time you pin a property, the detail is going to pop up right on your phone. And then from there, if you want to go do a little bit further due diligence, we do have skip tracing built in. So if you'd like to get the owner of record, if you'd like to see their phone number or their email address or previous known addresses, even next of kin or closest relatives, we're going to give you all of that data as well.
Well, that's cool.
And then if you want to launch a quick postcard campaign, direct mail campaign, whether it's yellow letters, whether it's postcards, professional letters, we've got a complete library of direct mail that you can easily select from and start launching your direct mail all from the app.
No kidding. So it'll take a picture of the house, and then you send who does the mailing of the postcards?
So we actually do all of that. So it's pretty much turnkey. This is really, I think the beauty of what we've done here is, first of all, Ron, I'm sure if you've ever tried to, you probably haven't had to mail one single postcard in a long time with the volume of business that you do. But for those of you that are out there that aren't sending out, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pieces of mail, it's really cost prohibitive. And in fact, most mail houses won't even allow you to mail less than 100 at a time. So what we've done is we've pulled all that together. So we do all of the printing, we do all of the mailing for you, and then we pass on those bulk discounts, those volume discounts, as a collective group. So if you want to just mail a single postcard, then it's super easy to do just literally one postcard. And we'll do the printing, mailing, and then, of course, the best part about that is if you are also on the Dreams platform, now you can put your Dreams phone number, right, so that whenever those calls come in on the Dreams platform, we can now track and say, all right, well, how many calls did we get from those postcards? So now we actually know which postcards working better, which letters are working better, and then it triggers all of the automation right inside the Dreams platform as well.
So do you send different size postcards, 6x9, 4x6? And are these already done up, or you just add your customer's phone number?
Yeah, so they get to choose we have several different direct mail pieces, again, whether it's letters or variable postcard sizes. And then from there, they can put whatever phone number. So if they don't have the Dreams platform, which I think they'd probably be crazy not to, then they can put any phone number they want. Or even we've actually added some really cool options, Ron, that's integrated directly into the Dreams platform where you can set up a keyword and you can text in the keyword from the postcard and, again, trigger all kinds of awesome automation on that Dreams platform as well.
I was going to get to that because that seems to be the way business is done out there today, even with realtors. I just pulled an ad this morning, said to my doctor's office, and here's a bunch of houses for sale, and all of them have a text number on them. So, and that's the way that, it is out there, guys. For those of you who have not been trained by us yet, when we call a seller and they don't answer, we text them, and about 35% of them will call us back, and about half the deals we do will come from those callbacks. That's how important texting is. It's so hard to get people to pick up the telephone.
From the preliminary data that we've seen, just on putting the phone number on the postcard versus also putting a text option, we've seen in some cases as much as 3 to 4 times the response rate on texting versus just putting the phone number out there.
So where does the text number go, Damon?
So if you're on the Dreams platform, it's going to go right into your Dreams platform, which will send you a notification right on your personal cell phone. Right. So
no kidding. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So then you just text them back and say, well, you're capturing their number at that point then, aren't you?
100%. The cool thing about it is, if you've got the integrated system, the phone number's there. It creates the contact inside of Dreams, so you've got the record there. If you call them back through the Dreams platform, you can actually record the conversation. So all the conversations are recorded. Contacts created right inside your CRM. And what we're working on right now, the cool thing about both these teams working together right now is that very soon, we will have the ability, so we'll actually create a unique keyword for each postcard. So now I'll know exactly which owner responded. So if they, instead of just doing a generic keyword, it'll be a unique tracking keyword so that when they respond, I know that that's John owner from 123 Main Street. And we'll give you all of that detail in the notification as well.
Very nice. All right, so when they call, where does the call go?
Again, they could put any phone number. So if they were using CallRail or Ring Central or anything like that, they could direct it directly to their cell phone or whatever. But again, on the Dreams platform, they'll put that phone number on there.
Stop. Make said note.
Okay.
Ron will not allow them to take the calls directly.
Oh, perfect.
They send the calls to Pat Live.
Pat Live. Yeah. Yes. In fact, we just did some extensive training with Nick on the implementation training that you guys did. And we set that up exactly inside the Dreams platform. So that just forwards to Pat Live. Yeah. Pat Live fills out the web form and the whole
automation. Let me make my case here. Because it doesn't make any difference what I say. They're still going to take the calls themselves anyway. So I'm going to make the case for you, listeners, right now. If you take the calls yourself, give up your life, because most of them are worthless, and you are not prepared to take them, and I promise you they're going to turn you off, and next thing you know, you're going to lose all interest, and you better listen to the old guy. We are automated today. We do not take inbound calls from buyers or sellers, with one exception, and that is when you give them a text number. Well, actually, we're doing an outbound call even then. When they send you their number by text, you're going to call them. But if you take the inbound calls, you're not going to like this business, because most of them are just absolutely worthless. So drive them to Pat Live. Let them take them for $200 lousy a month. They'll take 250 minutes of live human calls for buyers and sellers and send them to you. Then you outbound only the ones that have money or credit. Not credit. Because Pat Live is asking them what's the most you can put down and what's the most you can pay per month. And when you get those two answers, you'll know who you need to call back if you're lease optioning the house to a tenant buyer. If you're wholesaling houses, same thing. Let Pat Live take the inbound call, and then you'll ask them some questions. When are you ready to close? Because they'll already know the price. Anyway, I'm just butting in here to try to avoid people from getting this thing set up wrong to begin with, because they're going to do it their own way. So I know I just wasted my breath.
Well, the funny thing you said there, Ron, is I hear it all the time, right? Exactly what you just said is,
Yep.
we get new investors walking the door, they're calling to our support, and they say the same thing, right? It's like, nobody's motivated, nobody wants to sell their house. It's like, well, that's because you're talking to everybody, and that's
Right.
exactly what you're saying is you shouldn't be talking to everybody. Let Pat Live filter that stuff for you, so that you still have hair at the end of the day.
And you set it up through me, and they've already got the questions. You don't even have to make them up. There's only a few questions you need to know when they're calling to sell a house, and that is, where's the house? What's the address? Do you have a house for sale? What are you asking, and how can you be reached? And then that information is sent to you, and then you send it to our virtual assistants and let them call and get a property information sheet filled out on. Then and only then do you get involved with the closing call. Anyway, back to your program. Does this thing take a picture of the house and actually put the picture on the postcard?
So we do a picture of the house, and we do place the photo of the house on the postcards as well. So you can take multiple photographs for your archives and everything else. We will be releasing the actual photo that you take onto the postcard. But right now we do the street view photos on the postcards.
Stop and let our listeners understand how important that is. Picture yourself getting a postcard in the mail with a picture of your house on it.